His behavior has continued over a period of 16 years to escalate and spiral out of control, resulting in somebody getting shot in the face.
Made a run for the banister by the third floor of the courthouse and threw himself over the banister and has been pronounced dead.
As soon as Mr. Binkman started running, Deputy Price gave chase, and he was on him quick enough. Like I said, when he reached out, he had his shirt. And of course, you know, it wasn't good enough. And if he hung on to the shirt, most likely Officer Deputy Price would have went over with him.
I don't think that anybody thought that this was going to happen today. You know, sometimes if we're aware that something like that has happened in the past or that there have been those types of threats, then we're looking for that. We're maybe taking some additional action. It really is just a heartbreaking day for everybody here because there are typically lots of people in the courthouse. You know, there aren't just criminal proceedings going on. There is a lot of activity at the courthouse. As the sheriff said, you know, we're thankful that the deputy wasn't injured. And we're actually thankful that nobody else was hurt as he went over that railing, that he didn't hurt or kill anybody else on the way down.
Tell me where the freak's at. Oh, beautiful. Spacious sky.
To me, it comes down to a single salient fact. On September 7th, 2011, you savagely beat your child to the edge of death. For this, you must be punished. Please stand. I find you guilty of the offense charged. I'll set your sentence at confinement in the penitentiary for a period of 99 years. The sentence goes into effect today. As required by law, you will receive all back time credits. Counsel. Is there any reason in law why sentence should not be pronounced at this time? Safely held to be turned over to a duly authorized receiving agent of the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Please go with the bailiff.
We felt like the evidence was strong to seek justice on behalf of Jocelyn. We feel like the judge listened very carefully to a very difficult week of testimony, and we felt like he did exactly what the evidence called for. A large family, many aunts and uncles who cared for her, who were there for her and her children. Well, I think everybody has obstacles in their life, and the day that the justice system sends the message to people with obstacles, that becomes some excuse for your bad behavior, for your poor choices, is the day that we should just open the doors of the jail up and let everybody out.
I've talked to Ms. Escalon. She's broken. She said, how about my children? That's what she's thinking about.
I'm sorry, who said? She said what?
What about my children? She's not able. That's all I can tell you. Elizabeth Escalona is a child who never developed, who never had a childhood. So no, she's not able.
A young woman accused of killing her 3 friends while driving drunk learned the consequences of her action today. Bill O'Neill was in the court when Amanda Sperduti learned her fate, and here's his report.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry.
Amanda Sperduti apologizes to the family and friends of the 3 people she killed in a drunken driving accident. The 21-year-old from Winston-Salem, a graduate of Mount Tabor High School, had a blood alcohol level more than twice the legal limit. Lab results also found marijuana in her system the night of the crash.
I suffer from it every day of my life. I'm so messed up. I suffer from this every single day of my life. I will for the rest of my life.
The victim's family told the court they'll never forget what happened either. Walter Bedwell lost his 23-year-old son, Scott, in the crash. During his emotional testimony, he never took his eyes off the defendant, Amanda Sperduti.
You can still talk to your mother. You can cry with your mother. Eventually, you'll laugh with your mother. I cannot. I want to hug my boy.
Sandra Rumley lost her 18-year-old granddaughter, Taylor McCaskill, in the crash.
My life has been changed forever.
The grieving grandmother told the court she'll never have grandchildren because of that accident.
And Lord, I know you can't possibly need Taylor as much as her mother and I did.
Sonia Hardy lost her 18-year-old daughter, Sasha Hoffman, in the wreck.
We had the typical mother and daughter issues, and like all teenagers and their parents, we would quarrel over simple things, and I would give anything to argue with her again.
Sperduti, who cried during all of the testimony, broke down and sobbed after hearing Hardy. Amanda Sperduti will spend the next 7 to 12 years in state prison.
Well, Vicki, attorney Erin McKenzie is known as a tough, no-nonsense attorney in the Commonwealth Attorney's Office. But today she admitted to us that this case has taken its toll on her. She has been exhausted by this almost year-long case. As it came to a close today, she could not hold back her emotions.
Kenton Brown cannot give you a victim impact statement. And there is nobody here in this courtroom from his family to give you a victim impact statement.
2-year-old Kenton Brown's mother, Molly Schaus, is convicted of his murder. His father, Kenneth Brown, in jail for murder in an unrelated case. So Assistant Commonwealth's attorney Erin McKenzie didn't hold back as his advocate.
So it falls on me to remind the court of the life that was lost, of the little boy who will never have his first day of school.
After more than a year of graphic and disturbing details of the child's death, McKenzie's emotions hit their peak.
The little boy that sat in his car seat and suffered for hours upon hours while his skin seared against the hot plastic of the buckle between his legs, with his little wet diaper stuck to him in the heat. There's nobody here to speak for Kenton today.
In May of last year, the grandmother discovered 2-year-old Kenton Brown dead in his car seat, left for 12 hours as the vehicle reached 130 degrees. Prosecutors say Schaus left the child after a drug fix that included a combination of marijuana and Xanax, which knocked her out. Final sentencing was up to Judge Ulu Stevens, who agreed with the jury's recommendation of 35 years.
Ms. Schaus, you chose the drugs over the life of your child. And so the court will sentence you today.
With no emotion, Schaus is led to prison, an ending that brought a prosecutor to tears.
I just needed to see that for myself, to have peace with this case.
Teenager could spend up to 2 decades in prison after her sentencing today for plotting to kill her family. But 7 Action News reporter Dave Llewellyn tells us there are concerns over the sentencing of a juvenile as an adult.
It's a complicated case, and the sentencing of Roxana Sikorsky as an adult has many involved saying there needs to be a better way to find justice.
I've been disgusted with this whole legal circus since it started.
That's Jeff Sikorsky, the father of Roxana, following his adopted daughter's court appearance today. She was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison for attacking her brother with a knife as part of a plot to kill the entire family.
I'm still confused how a 15-year-old who couldn't buy a beer or buy a gun or buy a car is an adult.
Sikorsky, who is now 17, was involved in a relationship with Michael Rivera in October of 2014 when the attack plot unfolded. Rivera was 22 at the time. The judge said he victimized Roxana with inappropriate sexual behavior. Her father claims she was raped and that Plymouth Township Police and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office did not act quickly enough.
She's vulnerable. She's young. I mean, obviously, if she got caught up with Rivera, who knows what could happen in prison, right?
Rivera is serving a life sentence after being convicted for his part in the plot. Sikorsky agreed to a plea deal back in February. 6 other felony counts were dropped when she agreed to 1 count of assault with intent to murder.
We told her that we were more than happy to go to trial. We were prepared to go to trial. However, this was an option she needed to look at. She looked at it, and she took it.
Nobody could have more reason to be treated as a juvenile than this poor, sick girl who's truly a juvenile in age and in mental capacity.
Philip Chisholm, on indictment number 2013-1446001,
The jury, having returned a verdict of guilty of murder in the first degree on deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty, you will hearken to the sentence the court has awarded against you. The court, having duly considered your offenses, it is hereby ordered that you be committed to the Department of Youth Services until the age of 21, and furthermore committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction for the period of not less than 25 years and not more than life, and that you stand committed in execution of this sentence. On indictment 2013-1447002, the jury, having returned a verdict of guilty as a youthful offender of armed robbery, you will hearken to the sentence the court has awarded against you. The court having duly considered your offenses, it is hereby ordered that you be committed to the Department of Youth Services until the age of 21, and furthermore committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction for the period of not less than 40 years and not more than 40 years and 1 day, and that this sentence is to run concurrent with the sentence imposed on indictment number 2013-1446001. On indictment number 2014-109, the jury, having returned a verdict of guilty as a youthful offender on the charge of aggravated rape, you will hearken to the sentence the court has awarded against you. The court, having duly considered your offenses, it is hereby ordered that you be committed to the Department of Youth Services until the age of 21, and furthermore committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction for the period of not less than 40 years and not more than 40 years and 1 day, and that this sentence is to be concurrent with the sentence imposed on indictment number 2013-1446 and 2013-1447002, and that you stand committed in execution of this sentence.
Local mother is sentenced for her son's death.
That little boy's grandmother asked the judge to give her own daughter the maximum sentence for involuntary manslaughter. News 5's Laura Borchers joins us with an emotional day in court. Laura?
Yeah, Jack, she's already convicted for her role in her baby's death. Earlier today, Crystal Hawkins pled guilty, pled to a judge asking for leniency. That's after her own mother spoke up, asking for a harsh sentence.
I feel it's not enough. I feel she has no remorse for what she did.
KY watched her daughter walk into the Claremont County courtroom today, hoping it wouldn't go well for her.
She never played with him. His uncles and aunts is the ones that's played with him. She didn't do nothing with him.
Y asked the judge to give her daughter, Crystal Hoskins, the maximum possible sentence. Y says Hoskins was never a mother, even before she lied about what happened to her toddler to protect her current husband. The baby's biological father spoke.
I just want her to get what she deserved, what she done to my son. That's all I got to say.
Hoskins told the judge she had regret.
But because I was too scared to stop what was happening, I lost my son.
She admitted to her part in the death of her son back in September. Today, the judge called the torture unforgivable.
I've been doing this for 24 years, and I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of post-mortem photographs, and these post-mortem photographs of this child are as bad as anything I have ever seen.
Hoskins dialed 911 back on June 1st to say her 2-year-old son, Jerry Wells, had fallen down steps, claiming he struck his throat. Doctors were suspicious. Hoskins eventually described finding her son unresponsive on the bathroom floor and followed her husband, Tim Hoskins' orders to lie. Now her mother finds relief knowing Hoskins will serve the maximum sentence.
She made me feel this way. Taking the life of a 2-year-old.
Now, Hoskins was sentenced to 15 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence. Timothy Hoskins is spending a life sentence in prison for his role in Jerry's death. Reporting live, I'm Laura Borchers. Back to you.
3 consecutive life sentences. That's the punishment now for a man, this man here, who took off to Mexico after raping a 9-year-old little girl in Butler County. And News 5's Karen Johnson was in court for us today. She's live tonight with more. Karen?
Well, Sherry, Alfredo Lopez Cruz came to court today in Butler County asking for mercy. Instead, the 26-year-old got sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. That means he won't be eligible for parole until he's 56 years old.
I am very sorry.
Speaking through an interpreter, Alfredo Lopez Cruz made a tearful apology. His victim's father, who asked not to be identified, says this was the first time he ever said he was sorry.
He still has to pay for what he did. He damaged my daughter. He ruined her innocence, and he needs to pay for the actions.
Cruz snatched a little girl, just 9 at the time, off of her bicycle as she rode it in her Hamilton neighborhood. He brought her into his house and raped her repeatedly. He then took off for 5 years, just recently captured in Mexico and brought back here. Judge Keith Spaeth called his actions brutal, the worst rape case he's ever presided over. He sentenced Cruz to 30 years to life in prison.
Sin has its consequences, and these are consequences for him.
The young girl, now 15, was in court today. She appeared strong. Her father says she is getting stronger every day.
Her faith is strong. It was strong when it was going on, when the terror that night was going on. But she's a strong person. She's a forgiving person. Our faith has gotten us through this and has gotten her through this.
Her father says his little girl has even managed to forgive Cruz.
And I'm trying, and today helps.
Cruz must also register as a sexual predator for the rest of his life. Reporting live tonight in Hamilton, Karen Johnson, News 5.
Some of the things that were said with the child who testified in this courtroom, what she said. She took that stand and she said, "The pastor was nice to us. He never hit us. I never went outside to play, never went to the park, never went to friends, and neither did my siblings. Sometimes we didn't eat for days at a time. We were very hungry. We were tied at the ankles with yellow ropes every day, from morning until night, tied to a heater. And we used a bucket for a toilet. If we got untied, we would be whooped with belts or telephone cords. We'd be beaten when we were naked. We could not walk. And I recall when the young lady said, "I thought that's how people live."
I had been following manual direction, thinking that my action will help bring me and my children closer to God. To this day, I regret my involvement with the Emmanuel and his ministry. I wish that I could reverse my action every day. I count my lost time as a mother to my children. I miss cooking for them. I miss caring for them. I miss being a mother to them. Every day I feel the pain and the hurt they must have felt during the time that I had been brainwashed and had lost my children. Emmanuel had took my children away from me, and they were the most important thing that I had ever had in my life.
Nothing in the defendant's statement saying what she did because of the pastor, or that the pastor directed her to do anything. When you see that statement, you don't see that in there about the pastor, that he directed or at all forced or coerced or was the one that should bear the responsibility for this.
That Diana Jean Lovejoy was vicariously armed with a firearm within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022, paren A, paren 1, dated 11/13/17, signed foreperson. In the Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of San Diego, the people of the State of California, plaintiff versus Weldon K. McDavid, defendant, case number SCN 363925, DA number OCD 980, verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Weldon K. McDavid, guilty of the crime of conspiracy to commit murder.
All right, we're going to need to take a break. You're done. And if we could have, the jury go back and